And hello guys, and welcome to another video. And today we got a weird one because it's a review and not really planned either. So let's talk about how this happened first, whilst we have GC's replay in the background. So someone recently came into my stream chat and just randomly proposed the question. I think it was during one of the tournament streams. Why don't you do a Conqueror review? And I had a thought about that, and I was like, And basically all that came to mind was, sure, why not? And so we're here, doing it. Haven't done a review in a while, so why don't we just do one after quite a long time? And even if it's a tank I don't particularly like, I don't really mind doing it anyway. So yeah, the Conk, which I'm gonna be a bit comparing to with the M103 later, because I think it's the most similar. But yeah, let's talk about the tank first. It has an alright gun. A 2.7k DPM is pretty neat, and you have 260 alpha with your penetration, on your standard, with your 120mm gun, and 326 with premium is really nice. Of course, you also always, well, not always, but my brain is lagging, but we have 120 HE pen, or hash for the British, with 515 alpha, meaning you can get some really nasty shots into lower plates frontally on like mediums, and even heavy tank sides that you can hash, which it boosts up your DPM quite heavily, so make use of it as much as you can. In terms of the gun handling, on paper it does look pretty good. 1.4 seconds, fully maxed out, with 0.3 dispersion and pretty good soft stats. But from what I remember playing this tank, it didn't really feel that comfortable playing it when like on turret rotation and everything, but maybe I'm just misremembering. It also has 7 degrees of gun depression, allowing it to somewhat pull down properly, with 34 top speed and 12 reverse, which is nice. This tank also having the option of using the better speed boost, so if you feel like using that, you can do that, as GC has in this match right here. But yeah, in general, mobility is okay. It's a bit worse than the M103 when we look at the acceleration, because this tank doesn't have the best weight. It weighs quite heavy, 65 tons, so you don't really want to ram this thing. Nor do you want to ram with it, because it's too slow to do so. But in general, stats wise, this tank doesn't look too bad. It looks fine for the most part. It is just that I'm not a fan of it, and we'll get to that in the live game, which I always do during my reviews, in case you are seeing one for the first time. And yeah, it's an alright tank. I mean, you know, it depends on your playstyle really. We're gonna go into the armor in a bit more detail in the garage now, as we have GC triple shooting down that SU. That's what happens if you have package loss. That's how the replay shows it, by the way. So yeah, nice game here by GC. Just played this today for me to have a replay to show, and yeah, I appreciate it. And as you saw, I have tried to play this a little bit. I had to rebuy this tank. Didn't quite go that well, and yeah, as I said, not a favorite of this tank at all, really, I would say. So yeah, let's have a look and make a peek on the armor here. Really, you have 160 frontal turret armor, which I don't really see where that's supposed to go, because yes, you have quite the gun mantlet with quite a good gun, and the top half here is pretty well angled. The cupola itself is not as troll as the tier 10 one is, so you can get penned here easily, so be aware of that. The turret sides are also pennable by like any tier 9, I think, and a lot of tier 8s can go through here as well with high pen, with standard rounds, which is really depressing, because the main selling point of this tank is its mobility, accompanied with the gun and somewhat pull down capabilities, or well, that's what's supposed to. But the turret is just so weak that you can't really bounce a whole lot, other than if they hit out of bounds angles, or like when it's just really well rounded. So I haven't bounced a whole lot. Maybe we can see that in the gameplay later on. But yeah, the lower plate, of course, a weak spot as well. The upper plate is not that great either, although it is angled. It's not that much. But I mean, if you stay hold down, you should be able to bounce the occasional shot here and there. As all of the British tanks, if you shoot through the track here, you're gonna do damage and track the tank at the same time, so be aware of that. You can get HE'd on the side here, just along this whole part. That is hashable as well. And of course the back of the tank is easy to penetrate. You can't really side scrape with this thing either, because you only have 53mm of side armor. And even if you angle it to the best of your abilities, it just isn't a tank that should be or can side scrape really. Realistically, I'm also using extra armor here to somewhat get that turret armor to work, but it's not really working out. So, not my favorite tank. Definitely, there's a lot of Tier IXs that I prefer to this. And yeah, this is my setup. I'm not using the speed boost as I like having double repair kit. I'm using the double pudding /T and then extra sandbags for that HP. You could also probably go with either the protective or even the fuel, but I think it's fast enough for a heavy tank. I have quite some HE. You could use more as well if you want to, but I mean, that should be fine. There's also an argument to be made to run with calibrated for that extra hash pen, and look at that as well. It's basically the Tier 10 gun. But I think Rammer is fine for this tank. So let's have one live gameplay to see how it performs, and hopefully we don't get rushed. And wow, now that is what I call coincidence. The same map as we saw GC playing, just a different spawn. Albeit both games here being against Tier 8s, I think, so rather fortunate here. But we're gonna as well probably go into the middle here. We might even play around with that part down there. Yeah, as you can see from the spawning here, you're not really going to catch up with any mediums at all, other than something like a Super Pershing, even though that even outspeeds you for the most part. So yeah, there's, of course, you could use the speed boost. I don't really feel the speed boost in this tank too much, so I'm just going for the repair kit, because I feel this tank also takes quite a bit of module damage, which is why I said that you could even run a protective kit if you wanted to. Because the ammo rack and quite a bit of crew members often go down in this thing. So, all depends on the personal preference at the end. We got a nice hash there at the start of the game into that FV. That E50 there. Pretty isolated, should be dealt with by the team, so I don't really think we need to worry all that much. But instead let's draw the attention to the other side of the map here. Can't quite make this work. 7 degrees is an okay number if you think about it, but you can't really make it work all too much. And that's what I meant. You can shoot through the tracks, which is what the defender did. And then we got a gunner's hit by the 252U, so crew member got knocked out. I think we should reposition here. There's not enough space for 3 tanks in one slot. Put one in here. That went straight through the cupola. So yeah, it's nowhere near as trollish as on the Tier 10 sadly, which really is good. Where even Tier 10 TDs bounce the occasional shot. Because it's just really weirdly slated. But yeah, the Conqueror just doesn't have that, unfortunately. I'm being maybe a bit too aggressive here, but I feel like I need to risk it if I really want to get out some damage this game now. Because it's already 3-0. And we are going to be winning this. Just about how well I'm gonna do personally here now. The 252U's there with the defender and the IS-3 on that flank. So let's see if we can get some damage in here. But yeah, you really shouldn't have any trouble with penetration numbers on this tank at all. With bouncing, unless you have some unfortunate RNG, or just... I'm not the most confident with aiming just yet, but else it's like really nice, really comfortable, if you can fully aim it. Because, I don't know, I just... From my memory, this tank couldn't really snap that well, but maybe maybe it's just bias. We actually do get taken out here. And yeah, there's another shot right through the track. That's where the ammo rack lays, and that's why I want 2 repair kits. That's why I do use it. That's why there's an argument for the protective. That's what I meant. So yeah, we had an okay game at the end. Still, in conclusion, not my favorite tank, but definitely I do believe that there's people who would actively enjoy this thing. It's just not, I'm not one of those people. But yeah, you have a lot of customization and optimization for yourself to do. You have that speed boost, you even have reactive, which I also don't really am too fond of using. You have the choice between going with absolute firepower, survivability, and even using a protective or improved fuel. There's a lot of choices to be made, even with running your shells differently and the equipment. So that's a strength of this tank, is if you play it, there's a sense of variability, because you don't know, or your opponent doesn't quite how you may have set up your tank. Although a lot of people probably don't think about it, I think that's a point worth mentioning. And probably the only speciality this thing really has. So yeah, that's my personal opinion about the Conqueror, and more or less my review on it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you all so much for watching, and see you all again next time. Bye bye.